I'm on the roll with reviews, as I had some equipment lying around that I wanted to tell you about. But I had no time during Christmas. I'm happy to find a couple of quiet evenings now. So this time I would like to tell you about digital to analog converter, Gustard R26 Pro digital to analog converter. As you can see, I got the silver one. Here we have a power button. Here we have an OLED display. My unit has been upgraded with the newest versions of the software versions, because there is one version of the software for the display control. As you can see, I have it. You can tell because the newest version have these big letters here. The previous versions were using a very small font, so that the whole menu content was placed on one single screen, but it was a very small font and it was not very easily readable. And this also has a new software version for the streamer that's built in, and this streamer now accepts Tidal and Spotify, as long as UPnP and Run as it was supported from the release of the unit. Okay, now let's see at the back. Let's take a look at the back of the unit. Let's power this one off. I was using this remote as a stand. Okay. Now the back. It's very heavy, it's very solid. In the back, what do we have in the back? We have a power plug with interchangeable fuses. Gustard sells fuses of better quality that you can place in here. We have switches for 220 or 110 volts power supply. We have external clock input, which is well seen on the equipment in this price range as this Gustard. We have optical input here, IIS EBU input, coaxial input, IIS input, USB, LAN input. We have a very small USB-C input here under this plug, but this USB-C is not for audio input. This is for connecting to your PC in order to update the firmwares inside. And we have outputs, analog balanced outputs and analog single-ended RCA outputs. And we have Bluetooth with AirDAC and all newest up-to-date codecs. Yeah, it's heavy. And well, I love the build. I love the build quality. It's very solid. It's on par with my Cambridge audio equipment. This is basically one of the best builds that I held in my hands since a long time. I love it. About the functionality. No, the first things first. As much as I love the build quality of the unit, I hate the build quality of the remote. It's just pure plastic, it's very small, it's not very convenient as long as you have large hands as I have. So let's put that remote aside. What's the most important about digital to analog converter? Sound, obviously. What can I tell you about the sound of this unit? This is R2R unit, which means that it's using a resistor ladder to convert the digital format of the signal to analog output, as opposed to digital audio converters that are using delta sigma chips, which are purely digital with analog output stage with no resistor ladders whatsoever. And this particular unit, this Gustard unit, is very highly praised as a very clean, very transparent R2R unit. It's actually being compared to much more expensive units in price range of thousands of dollars. This one can be yours for $1,500, $1,650, something like that. You can sometimes get them on sale, but this would be their regular price. So it's not cheap either. It's not very expensive compared to other equipment, other digital to analog converters that are using resistor ladders, but it's not exactly cheap. I had very high hopes for this unit, as I have downstairs. I have much older Gustard R26 Pro unit, which uses double ISS Sabre 9028 Pro chips, which basically means it's a Delta Sigma converter, but I love it. I've been using it for the past 6 or 7 years, something like that, since they came out, and it's one of the best DACs that I had in my hands, and it's still in use with my Stax headphones, which should also mean something because they are very transparent. So I had a very high hopes for this unit. I bought it, I let it properly burn in. I've had it for 3 months right now, and I've been listening to my music for it for the past month. So my subjective review of the sound quality, starting with obvious and simple things. The bass is very organic, the bass is very nice. It's not as much controlled as in Delta Sigma DACs, but it's very organic, it's very nice. The mid-range is also very good. The quality of male and female voices is really good. The treble is not as much transparent and not as airy as I'm used to coming from Delta Sigma DACs, but it's also a nice one. Next we have holography, the imaging. The imaging is spectacular, everything is spot on, the scene is very wide, it easily comes out and away from the speakers, both in width, in depth and in height. So we are able to spot the sound sources coming in all 3 dimensions. However, as long as this unit is praised for being one of the best ladder DACs, I can tell you that this actually is missing something. This is missing this last bit of detail. I was doing comparisons using my Martin Logans. I was doing comparisons using HiFi Man HE6 second editions version 2, which you may or may not be able to see in this dark area there. I've connected them directly to the power amplifier's outputs to be able to assess the sound. So it's not as detailed as Delta Sigma DACs. It doesn't have this amount of transparency and air at the top. So as long as it may be one of the best deals for ladder DACs, I think I'll still remain in love with Delta Sigma converters. Well, that's me. I was thinking that this may be my endgame converter, that this is something like the other Gustard that I'll buy, I'll set up in this beautiful place along with my other equipment, and it'll stay there for like next 10 years. But it's not destined to be here, apparently. So I've told you about the remote, I've told you about the build quality, I've told you about the sound. What can I more tell you about the sound is that it's really nice and effortless. I would say that this sound, the sound this unit gives is musical, but in this good way. not musical as let's put a blanket on a speaker and pretend it sounds good. This actually is a very musical DAC, but my other cheaper digital to analog converters are able to convey more details. And I love details. I love transparency, as you can tell by me having electrostat speakers and electrostat headphones and planar headphones. So, and this may be important to many users of Gustard. There is an ongoing discussion on HiFi, and the discussion is about the sound quality of different inputs for this unit. So let's turn it back again and let's talk about the different inputs here. If I may use something. Let's use this remote again. Okay, so starting from the best sounding input, LAN. The streamer on this is spectacular, and it easily beats all other inputs. The second place would be for IIS input, followed closely by USB input. The coaxial input, optical input are far away in the background, nothing to really write home about. And I wasn't able to check AIS as I don't have any equipment that would output signal via XLR. Bluetooth is Bluetooth. I mean, it's very convenient, but it's not up to par with other inputs. So, but this is just the beginning. This is for the inputs as you have them on the unit when you buy it. But the discussion on the HiFi is about the superiority of the IIS with external DDC converter versus streamer using external transceivers, external converters for wired Ethernet to fiber optic Ethernet, because this apparently clears a signal. And there is also a variation of this discussion about using external clock with IIS and DDC, or external clock with streamer and Ethernet converters. And since I had some time when I was waiting for the burn-in to complete, and I was pretty sure that it will be my endgame DAC, I've invested in a couple of things. The first one is Singxer SU6 DDC there. But that's not all. I've also bought Ethernet media converters. They are converting wired Cat5 Ethernet to fiber. Oh, sorry, I put it off the camera. They are converting wired Ethernet to fiber optic, and again the second unit converts back from fiber optic to wired Ethernet. The idea is to isolate your rest of your network, rest of your equipment from your DAC converter. And my third investment was in, oh sorry, this way, external 10 MHz clock. I'll give a separate reviews for the clock and for the Singxer, but in my opinion, in my tests, in my comparisons, as I said, using Martin Logan electrostats and HiFi planars, the flagship planars from a couple of years ago, and actually still one of the best planar headphones that you can buy right now, if you have equipment to drive them. My results are like that. The first place, without any doubt, is for streamer, but streamer with external clock and these media converters. Media converters give a very slight change, very slight change. I'd say it's less than 1 or 2% of the sound quality if I would be able to put it in the numbers. But on the other hand, these converters are very cheap. They've costed me, along with a piece of fiber optic cable, a fiber optic connector, it was like $10, so it's basically nothing. The biggest sound change came from this one. This is actually a cheap external clock. It's OCXO, which means oven controlled crystal oscillator, which means basically that it gives you very precise signal, very precise 10 MHz signal. And this is a unit that's used for amateur radio and radio astronomy equipment. I'll give another review on that because it's very cheap compared to external clocks produced for audiophile community. But the thing is that results with this are spectacular. It gives another new level to your music with this Gustard DAC. However, still not on par with newest flagship Delta Sigma decoders. But when I was hearing the Gustard without the clock for the first time, I was, let's put it like this, I thought it was one of the biggest mistakes that I've made when I bought this equipment. When I connected external clock, I was able to try to decide if it should stay or if it should leave. Finally, it will leave, but the sound change quality, the quality in sound change was tremendous. Okay, so the third place goes to DDC, to Singxer and IIS input. It's close to streamer and clock, but nevertheless it's a third place. And to give you some kind of information about how much difference you should expect from clock and streamer or DDC and IIS versus just a stock set of inputs. It's a really big difference. I mean, with external clock or DDC, this sounds like completely new unit. The sound is more transparent. There is a lot of detail that was covered earlier, especially with external clock. But still for the speakers as transparent as electrostats, you are able to hear the difference, especially in all kinds of string or brass instruments. In all these instruments that electrostats are excelling in, giving you this natural vibrations, these harmonics that you can hear and feel on this type of speakers. So I really highly recommend external clock, especially this one. These ones are very cheap units that you can get on AliExpress. They are built on top of used oscillators inside. I'll talk about that in my review for that. But the thing is that external clocks like Gustard clocks or LKS clocks are costing cost about, I think it was something like $500, no, $400 for the cheapest, and the prices go high from this level. And this toy, this particular toy, I've got it for I think $60. Yes, $60, including shipment. And as I said, this is oven-controlled crystal oscillator, but this unit is also using GPS for correction of the clock. It's obviously not needed for this particular use case for audio equipment, but in radio or radio astronomy, this is something that's worth noting. And of course, clock and DC and media converters were always powered from linear power supplies. So, getting to the end of the review. I like the build. I like the sound quality, but apparently I'm a Sigma Delta guy. So my lesson again is here then buy. I've read all the reviews I could find, I've watched all the videos I could find, I've read all the forum battles and forum reviews I could find, and I was convinced that this is something for me. And yes, it is very good, and I suppose in many cases it will be endgame. But I think I'll rather try to find endgame Delta Sigma. For now, LOXG D40 Pro stays with me, but you know, the hunt is on. I'm still chasing my rabbit. So, see you next time.